So today is Tuesday morning. It's a blustery 18 degrees, and I'm at the North Fork of the Colorado River, right above Shadow Mountain. This is the largest inflow into Shadow, and actually into Grand and Shadow. One of our duties, among other things, is to maintain 10 different flow gauges on our side of the hill. That's what the river looks like. A little ice on it this morning from being so cold. This is the gauge house from which we do most of our work. We have a logger set up, logger panel, solar panel, battery combination. We have a stilling well, which is kept inside this building here that I'm standing next to. And basically its role is just to allow us to get a stage height of the river, so the river level. There are two inlet tubes that go from the middle of the river and underground and into this well. Since water seeks its own level, we're able to get a perfectly still stage height and level of the river, which we can correlate to flow. So that's our main gig, is to correlate a stage to a flow and make adjustments as needed. These gauges are shut down and frozen generally from the end of October until mid-April. The process of turning these on is a little bit different depending on location, but basically the principle is the same. So in the springtime, usually the rivers end up thawing out before the stilling wells themselves because they're dark and cold and in the ground. So what happens is we usually have to melt out the stilling well. We either let it just happen naturally, or we'll use a tank heater, some sort of heater device, in order to thaw out the actual well itself. From there, we used a submersible pump to actually fill the stilling well from the river. And the purpose of that is to flush the inlet tubes in case there was any sand, silt, or debris that got stuck in the tubes. So we fill the well itself almost to the top of the well, which is way above the river level, and let it push all the water out into the river in order to flush. From there, myself or coworker Blaine will do a discharge measurement. We go in the river and take a manual discharge measurement, and from there we hop back into our gauge house here. And what we want to do is we want to correlate that flow to a gauge height. And once we're able to do that, then kind of we let the gauges program, which has been predetermined, we let the program run, and then we only have to come every month or two times a month to make sure everything is reading correctly. Let's say I measured 35 CFS last week when I was here at the site. So I need to correlate 35 CFS to a stage on the chart. Basically, I look at my chart here and correlate the flow of whatever I got in the river, 35 CFS, and I correlate that with a stage. From that stage, if they do not match, I actually have to adjust the stage that we're reading at the gauge to match the flow that I had just measured manually. And an easier way to saying that is that we make a shift change. So we shift the data table up or down to match what we're actually measuring in the field. From there, I call my boss, Alan Helly, and tell him, hey, I just measured the flow, and here's what it is, here's what the shift is. Can you please turn on the program so that the program starts spitting data out in calculating flow. And from his side of things, it runs through the magic that is technology and is spit out to Division of Water Resources, our website, and anywhere else it needs to go, so the public can look at it real time. These gauges take a flow measurement or a flow reading or a gauge height reading and calculate a flow from that every 15 minutes. We measure this site and every other site usually at least once a month, usually quite a bit more, especially during runoff times, as we try to capture the hydrograph accurately and try to get the peak of these flows. This data in particular is quite useful for a lot of different reasons, but as far as operational reasons, the operator at Far Pump Plant is able to look at what's coming in, especially during spring runoff, and kind of get ahead of the ball a little bit as far as releases out of Shadow Mountain. So if we have a huge peak coming down the North Fork of the Colorado here from the national park, they can get a little bit of ahead of that before the water and the level of Shadow Mountain and Grand Lake start to get too high.